I state your name,
I, Patrick Flynn,
will represent and serve
will represent and serve
the students of Minnesota State University Mankato
the students of Minnesota State University Mankato
in student life and academic needs,
in student life and academic needs,
and will uphold the mission,
and will uphold the mission,
Constitution, and bylaws
Constitution, and bylaws
of the student government.
of the student government.
I so affirm.
I so affirm.
Congratulations.
Hello, Mavericks. My name is Andrew Trenning. I'm the student body president.
Hello, Mavericks. My name is Montari, and I'm the student body vice president.
And we're here today to remind you to wear your mask indoors and outdoors while on campus and out in the community. We all are asking you also to stay 6 feet away and
Sanitize, wash your hands. I think you've heard this a lot of times, but to protect others and yourself, this is the great thing you could do.
the reason why we say this and we stress it most of all is because we really want to be that university that can say, hey, we stayed in school. We did not go online. We want to be that model university in the Minnesota state system, but also around the country to say, hey, our Maverick community is the strongest and proudest, even when we're wearing a mask. And we want to make sure we can have all those on-campus events, the online events. So please do.
Officially call this meeting into session at 4:03 p.m. First on our agenda, we're going to do our call to order. Or, excuse me, we're going to go through our roll call. So, starting with Senator Bigt.
Present.
Senator Gustafson.
Here.
Senator Gabbard.
Here.
Senator Vondra. Senator Alimo. Senator Mendonça.
Present.
Senator Parte.
Present.
Senator Salim.
Present.
Senator Quadri. Senator Nemo. Senator Hussain.
Here.
Senator Khan.
Here.
Senator Suna.
Present.
Senator Elsati.
Present.
Senator Albera.
Here.
Senator Osman.
Here.
Senator Stiff.
Here.
Senator Nelson.
Here.
Senator Weinzierl.
Here.
Senator Wickman.
Here.
Senator Ruiz.
Here.
Senator Wheeler.
Here.
Senator Rodditt.
Here.
Senator Bejarano.
Here.
Senator Swancutt. Senator Flynn. Senator Berg.
Here.
Senator Wolfert.
Here.
President Trenny. Vice President Montari. Speaker Seversal. Perfect. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and move on to presentations. Okay, we don't have our first presenter, so we're just going to practice some flexibility and actually move on to open forum first. Is there anybody here for open forum? Anybody here for open forum? If you're on Zoom, please raise your hand. Vice President Johnson.
I think I'd be able to find that raised hand fashion in that, wouldn't you? I know we've been here quite a bit, but I think one of our goals this year is to really stay in touch with the students, and it's much harder to do that than our normal school year. So I wanted to give you just a little bit of background and information. We do a monthly meeting across the campus, and students, of course, participated in a thing called Technology Roundtable. And on that roundtable, at that roundtable each month, we have topics. And so what I thought I'd do is at the beginning of each month, after we've had the Technology Roundtable, I kind of fill the students in on things and give them input, or the ability to give us some input, and also find out the cool things that are happening from a technology standpoint on campus, where we're going, what we're thinking of, and maybe what we're doing. So today I'm going to give you just the Technology Roundtable met yesterday. And of course, Andrew is on there. Senator Weinzierl is a participant from the Student Senate. And as always, he does a great job. And he's been doing a lot of great work for us this year with the esports. And And it was fun to, by the way, kick that off this last weekend. And it was a big, successful event, both the kickoff and then our first big tournament. But at the Technology Roundtable, we talked about 5 things I want to tell you about. One is IT Solutions is adding an additional student service center in the Centennial Student Union, CSU, pretty much effective relatively quickly. And it's going to sit in the space kitty corner from the current computer store. Used to have Affinity Plus was in there. And so we will be adding additional support for students and walk-up traffic. So we have the Whistling call, we have upstairs, but we're also going to have a much bigger support center. So we announced that yesterday at the Technology Roundtable. We also discussed the D2L usage. One of the big items that the students always tell us every single year is have the faculty use more D2L. So perfect. We had an update, and I'm going to bring Elizabeth Harsmith with me maybe in the next week or so, and really find a way to really let you know how much more we've embraced the D2L product, both in the number of classes that have it and the number of components in D2L that the faculty are using, again, at the student's request. We also had a really cool presentation about badging, and within D2L is a concept called badging. And one of our faculty members in the psychology department shared with us how they're using that to stay in touch with students and give different points during the semester where the student will receive a badge by doing something. Turn your assignment in first, or turn your assignment in early, and just different things. And I thought it was a really great topic, and thought that would be another one they might be interested in students to hear about, and even give us some more input on how we can better engage with students in classes, especially when there's a kind of a blend of mix of both online and face-to-face, our FlexSync opportunity. Student Tech Roundtable, we asked for faculty and staff participants. I've come here twice and asked for students, and we're starting to get some students involved. But I want to tell you what we're starting, or what we've already started on, and that is we're going to have all the tours be virtual tours. We might do some real tours too, but they're going to all be available virtually. So if students want to engage and they don't feel that they can come to campus, or they don't want to go with large groups to different places, we are right now starting to film a whole series of tours that will be available as part of the Student Tech fee consulting process, or the consulting. I mentioned a minute ago FlexSync. We have only about 2 to 4 rooms not done that we originally planned to, the 120, all the equipment's here. Those particular rooms have some kind of difficult things we're working around, and we're working our way through those. But even more exciting, lots of new rooms are going to be added for the spring. So over the break, we'll be adding some new rooms, and all that equipment has been ordered. And again, that's in alignment with what both students and faculty have said. Hey, we want more FlexSync, and we want it in this kind of room that we don't have available to us now. So that's the end of my report. Any topic, including what I just covered, or any other technology topic, I'd be happy to talk about while you have me here.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Vice President Johnson.
Thanks for having me.
Is there anybody else here for open forum? Anybody else here for open forum? Anyone else? Okay, thank you. We're going to go ahead and move on. So President Davenport isn't here yet. So let's go ahead and go to Dr. Nelson, who'll be speaking on the Criminal Justice Program Review Work Group. No, I need you to turn it on.
Yes, okay. Thank you for having me today. I've been asked to talk about the Criminal Justice Program Review Work Group that we've been running since July. And we've actually had 3 student government representatives on the work group. So I do want to call them out and thank them for all the time and feedback. President Charnay has been on the work group, Senator Sen Nelson, and then Senator Montari. And I'm sorry if I just slaughtered your name. I apologize for that. We also had a fourth student, his name is Almacar Valdez, that was on the work group. So just a little bit of background, and then we'll get into some recommendations here. We have 3 very robust programs in criminal justice here at Minnesota State University Mankato. We have the law enforcement program, which is the largest 4-year program in the state of Minnesota. We have the corrections program, and then we have the criminal justice program that started in 2019. The criminal justice program is a broad program, and law enforcement is for licensing, and corrections is also a narrow program. In May, with the incident that happened up in Minneapolis with the death of George Floyd, the President Davenport made a commitment to the community that we would take a look at our programs here at MSU Mankato to ensure that we were preparing our students to serve in a diverse, multicultural society. We held listening sessions in July to kind of open up what our curriculum is, answer questions, and get feedback. And then we asked for community members and professionals to join us on a work group. There are 4 of us that were in the leadership position, and then we had 21 additional work group members, which included professionals from law enforcement, corrections, community members, including community leaders from Turning Point and 180 Degrees up in Minneapolis, a leader from the Mankato Diversity Council, along with another council member, and then students and a couple other interested parties. So we took the recommendations and the ideas from the listening session and then set our work group loose to do some brainstorming. What are we missing in our curriculum? Is there any gaps? Is there anything we can do in higher education to help our students become those that do cultural change in criminal justice as we go forward? So after 6 weeks of quite a few meetings, we actually came up with some recommendations on how to improve our curriculum here at MSU Mankato. And as that was going on, there's actually a state task force that's working that started a little bit behind us, but it sounds like many of the things that they're recommending are things that we've already identified. So we do have some main areas. So if we could go forward about 3 slides here. So our first recommendation is under general education. One of the themes we were hearing over and over again is that students need to hear about things from different perspectives. They need to hear about history, they need to hear about society, they need to hear about ethnic studies, gender and women's studies, interaction in society, not only from the criminal justice perspective, but also the perspective of other fields of study that we have here on campus. So our first recommendation was under general education to identify specific general education courses that align with cultural competency, diversity, inclusion, and critical thinking to make these required general education courses across all 3 programs. Using our resource and our expertise on campus to help broaden the views and perspective of our students. We also had some specific goal areas, as you guys are all familiar with your goal areas. Goal area 5, which is social and behavioral sciences, goal area 7, which is human diversity, and goal area 8, which is global perspectives. There's some specific suggestions under those goal areas to reach out to departments and identify some good courses there. Now they all have good courses, but there's some applicable courses for the criminal justice program. The last part of that general education is to require that all students in our criminal justice programs take a gold diversity course. So that's what we're looking at doing. There's some really good options in that area. Next slide, please. Our second set of recommendations are program specific. These are specifically within the curriculum of the 3 programs. The first one is probably going to be our most challenging one to figure out. And this is creating a 1-credit service learning cultural community interaction course. No, I don't know what that looks like yet. We've got ideas, but how we're actually going to implement that is going to take some work on our faculty part. The second is courses about addiction, and at the request of student government here, looking at training about mental health first aid. So we are exploring how we can build that into our curriculum. And then the second two parts of this recommendation are to ensure that we are using trauma-informed training and culturally responsive pedagogy throughout our entire curriculum within the courses. Next slide, please. So we're going to be reviewing course learning outcomes and updating them. The third area seems like it might be a little selfish because it's just focused on faculty, but part of this is providing professional development training so that our faculty can do trauma-based training and culturally responsive pedagogy throughout all of our courses. This is something that you can't just expect someone to figure out on their own. We want to make sure we have some training and resources available for that. We also want to work on facilitating uncomfortable conversations in classrooms so they're safe environments to have those conversations and they're not just shied away from. And then our last two recommendations, recommendation area 4, is to provide some clarity around the programs. So next slide, please. As I tried to explain, we have 3 programs that all relate to criminal justice. We know that can be a little bit confusing. We have really good reputations with our programs, but it can be a little cumbersome for students coming in trying to figure out where they want to go. And we also have to maintain accreditation requirements. So we are being tasked with providing some clarity and ensuring that courses that are shared across all 3 programs maybe have the same designator so that we don't have a section of law enforcement and a section of corrections that a criminal justice student has to take that you can't find. Right? So that's some of the things we've learned from advising one-on-one this summer with incoming students and transfer students, is how confusing it actually can be. We also need to work on providing some materials that explain the difference. And then our final area of recommendation is structure. This is probably something you don't realize, but the corrections program is housed in the Department of Corrections and Sociology. The law enforcement program and criminal justice program are housed within the government department. So we are a little bit split among departments, and there's some structural issues that we have to work through. We have a curriculum process that we have shared curriculum. We have professors in 2 different departments. So it's something that our dean is going to take on to identify if there's a way we can kind of streamline those structures. Why do we think that's important? It's better for us to serve our students under something that makes sense and is a little more streamlined than to have students fall through the cracks because they don't know which department to go through. So what are we going to do now? The work group has forwarded their recommendations to the president, and he's asked us to work on them. So what we have going on now is faculty are working on curriculum. We have to have our curriculum proposals in by November. So we are working on course learning objectives and what we need to do in our courses. We are also going to be holding some community listening sessions starting October 20th to get some feedback on our recommendations, to see if we got the big picture, if we've done enough, if there's more that we need to do. And then as we work on implementing, as we work on professional development, as we work on clarifying the programs, we'll be coming back in the spring to give everybody an update on what's actually been done with the recommendations and hold some more listening sessions. So I know I talked fast. I'm a Minnesota girl. I can really get going. But I think I would rather open it up for questions right now about what we've been doing, what we have addressed.
Perfect. Are there any questions for Dr. Nelson? If you're on Zoom, just a reminder to use the raise your hand and participants. Are there President Trenny?
I just wanted to say, one, thank you. I know Dr. Nelson worked really hard along with the other people in the leadership team. She took a lot of our recommendations. I just want to say thank you for also including us in the process. I will send this out, if that's okay, the PowerPoint and the proposal or the recommendations out to everyone. So if they do have follow-up questions after the meeting, they can either forward that to me or just Dr. Nelson right away, but there will be listening sessions or open forums as well. But I just want to say thank you.
Yes, please share that document. It's a public document. Feel free to share it.
Wonderful. Are there any other questions? Any other questions? Any others? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Dr. Nelson.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Okay, we are going to go ahead and continue with the agenda. So next is the approval of the consent agenda. Is there any dissent to the approval of the consent agenda? Any dissent? Any dissent? Okay, seeing none, I assume unanimous consent, and the consent agenda is approved. Next up, we have officer reports. President Trenny. Okay, President Trenny has requested to be moved down. Vice President Montari.
I wasn't ready for this, but yeah. Hello, everyone. For my officer report, I've been meeting with most of you during this week. I had my one-on-ones with some of you. These one-on-ones were meant to check if everything is going well with the personal projects senators have. And then another thing I would like to say, again, I know you guys are tired of me repeating this, but Chipotle fundraiser is today. If you guys are joining us, we'll go there after the Senate meeting, meet us there, help us in the good cause. And yeah, that is something we have been working on. And for this week, no, we had meet and confer last Friday, and we were able to talk about the projects we have been working on. And what is it? I don't know if I'm missing something. Give me a second. Yep, another thing I have been working on is a document about getting some sort of credit for senators, but it is still under process, and I will get back to you with more details sometime soon. With that, I yield.
Wonderful. President Trenny.
Yes. Sorry, I'm so flustered. We're trying to get President Downport in the Zoom call right now. So I'm trying to go back and forth and get that, but I will do my update. As Vice President Montari did mention, we had meet and confer last week on Thursday, and we talked about a couple things. As normal, we talked about the status of the university budget. There's a $5.2 million to $5.6 million deficit over the next 2 years. I believe I'm right on that one. But also, we're talking about undergrad tuition. We're in the very early stages of being consulted on that, so there's not anything definite I can report. But again, I think the base tuition increase potentially is 3% again. But again, very early, so that might change. The other thing we talked about at meet and confer was graduation. Of course, our request is always to, in a safe way, have a graduation. I know the president did send an email out earlier today about the status of graduation. So we'll be continuing having a dialogue on that process with the university. The other thing as well, we talked about the course fees. I always say it every week, we're very close to finalizing the wording on a committee to look at that and for course fees. So stay tuned. Probably in the next week or two, you'll hear more on that, and maybe we'll need more appointments. So if anyone's curious about the course fees or online differential, let me know, and we can get you on that or have you more informed in the process. Our next meet and confer is November 5th, and that's a very long time away. But if you're interested in coming, please let me know in advance. It's 11:30 to 1 on a Thursday. Preferably, if you can come the whole time, that's the request. Obviously, if you can't come the whole time, that's fine too, but for sure, try to at least come for an hour if you can. And that's, again, for those that don't know what meet and confer is, that's our chance to, as student government, to meet with President Downport and his cabinet and talk about student issues and big picture items as well. And so my cabinet as well attends that, but we're opening it up to a couple senators, so if you're interested, again, please let me know. The other thing we're doing, I had an earlier meeting today for policy and consultation. Again, I reiterated we want a shared governance policy that basically guarantees or reinforces our rights as student government. We've tentatively gotten the green light to explore policy, so you'll be seeing more about that come through your committees, as well as just a general policy review. Your coordinators will reach out, and they'll be beginning that process shortly on how we review policies in student government. It's a fun process. I've enjoyed it, and we enjoyed it last year, so I look forward to all the hard work you guys do in reviewing those policies. The other update I have is Students United, we're still looking for more people to join committees. Again, I sent in an earlier email a link to look at all the committees, but ideally we need more people on our standing committees. So like our Legislative Affairs Priorities Committee, our System Priorities Committee, and then like our Internal Affairs and stuff like that. My request is if you do join a committee, consider joining delegates just because we need 10 people. And I think I have 5 or 6 openings still. So double dip a little bit, and the only time commitment you'll have for those committees is 1 meeting this semester. So it's not like it's going to be weekly or bi-weekly, it's just going to be once, probably in late November / early November. Yes, the other thing I was going to show is for those new senators as well, but also just in case anyone needed a refresher. Teams is a very different thing if you've never used it before, and the exec team just wants to make sure everyone's on an equal standing or equal footing so that we know or everyone knows how to access documents. This is just in case, you're sick or don't want to come to the meeting and you didn't have the documents for some reason, or we, tragically go online and only meet on via Zoom. We obviously don't print things out if you come in person, but this is the other way to find it. Again, to go on Teams, you click the top left up here, and Outlook, and then you'll click Teams down here, and then you'll click our student government team site right here. And then in here, you'll see all well, you won't see them. You have a channel. Most of you, if you're not on this channel, please let me know. But everyone should be on the Senate channel. And then you'll just go to Files over here, and you'll see all the files you may need. I'll pinpoint, we have our training document folder in here that Speaker Sversel and I worked on over the past 2 years. They had 2 years in there. And then the other thing you guys should pay attention to is our Senate meeting information. Not only is this where you sign up for your senator reports, but your office hours as well. So if you haven't done that, please do that as well. I'm sure Speaker Sversel will say that as well. But then if you click in the Senate meeting folder, we have every Senate meeting in here and even today's stuff. So we have our agenda, we have our motions, we even have flyers in here. So we have like our Chipotle flyer and Dean Dahlman's Global Hour that I don't know if you didn't mention, but yeah. There's Global Hour, Dean Dahlman's in here. She can also say something if she wanted to. But I'll send this out to Senate as well, just because Dean Dahlman wanted us to. And I think it's a good opportunity as well. So again, please check your Teams folder. There's a lot of good stuff in there. And please consult that as well. All the information will also be in there as well as your email. The last thing I'm going to mention is the university, through the return to learn process, is having conversations on what spring break's going to look like. Obviously, I don't have much to report right now, but I did come to both committees and kind of mention that there's something they're discussing, and I want feedback from everyone on what their thoughts are. Obviously, no decision has been made, but a decision soon will be made. So I'd prefer if you guys can just let me know your thoughts, your ideas. I obviously told you guys most of it, but ideally I just want more student feedback as well into that process. So that when I'm in the meetings, I can help or be more informed of what more students than just me are thinking as well. With that, I yield for any questions.
Thank you. Were there any?
Sorry, I have one more.
President Trenny.
I forgot. I can't. Yeah. So Students United is having a event on October 13th, 12 to 1 on Facebook Live. Our state chair and state vice chair are interviewing Secretary of State Steve Simon. I think it's a great opportunity to not only hear students interview him, but Emma Zelmer, our former speaker, if you know her, she will also be doing that. So it's a great opportunity to not only see what she's doing in her current role, but also to hear from our Secretary of State and how we can educate our peers on how to vote, register to vote, and be an educated voter, especially in this crazy time we live in. And sorry, with that, I finally yield.
Thank you. Were there any questions for Vice President Montari or President Trenny? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Okay, seeing none, we're going to go ahead and move on to my officer report. I just have one thing for you guys today, which is the Dean of the Day. Our Dean of the Day is Dean Budge of CSET, so if you'd like to introduce yourself.
You bet. So Aaron Budge, Acting Dean for the College of Science, Engineering, and Technology. I've been part of this group a few times in the past, so I appreciate the opportunity to be part of your discussion and anything that we can do, either college-wide or relative to the university as a whole, please feel free to reach out, let us know. I know that our CSET senators have been in touch with both me and with our associate dean. Some great initiatives that are under discussion. So anything else that we can help have conversations about, please reach out, let us know.
Wonderful. Were there any questions for me or Dean Budge? Any questions? Any questions? See none. Thank you, Dean Budge. And that concludes my officer report. So next we're going to go ahead and move on to senator reports. Senator Bigt.
Hi, I'm here. Sorry, I'm just pulling up my notes really quick. So, I am Gretchen Bigt, and I am one of the senators for the College of Allied Health and Nursing. So I'm just going to update you about some things that I've been doing. First, we met with Dean Rutherford, me and Brandon did, and that was nice to catch up with her and see what was going on with the college since we had left and everything like that. And then we also had our first advisory board meeting, and so that was good to touch base with all of the programs within the College of Allied Health and Nursing. And then we have an event tonight through the College of Allied Health and Nursing called Pandemic Perspectives, and that started at 4 p.m. and will go until 6:30. So if we get done early, hopefully some of you can attend. And then I want to talk about the project that I'll be working on this year, which is setting up advisory boards within all of the colleges. So if you don't know what an advisory board is, it's just usually in the College of Allied Health and Nursing, it's a person from each major or program, and they have a couple of student government representatives, and we meet each month with the dean, and we just talk about what's going on within our programs, what she's concerned about in the college and in the university as a whole, and we just kind of exchange information and check in. And it's been super beneficial to network, but also get to know the programs in our colleges better. And I didn't know that none of the other colleges had one, and it was just us. And so I started talking to the academic senators about it, but I'm really excited about the possibilities that having advisory boards could bring. And I think it's super helpful in any college or any area just to connect and see what we can improve on and just check in. So yeah, I yield.
Wonderful. Are there any questions for Senator Bigt? Any questions? Any questions? Seeing none, thank you, Senator. Next up, we have Senator Nelson.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kat Nelson. I am an off-campus senator. This is my first year in student government, and the project that I've been working on is focusing on the safety of rental properties that are targeted at students. So I've been working with John Bulcock. He's been giving me some resources to City of Mankato policies, and then I've been looking into like state and federal statutes regarding rental properties and the protections that renters have if their landlord is not updating the property, if there's safety concerns. So like if you don't have working smoke detectors, CO2 detectors, fire extinguishers, if there's other like health or safety hazards within your unit. So right now I'm working on building a pamphlet that kind of explains like, here's how you contact, like here's what you should tell your landlord is unsafe about the property. Here's what you do if they won't do anything about it. Here's how you report an issue to the city, ask for a fire inspection. And then I'm working on building a checklist for students that you can take on like a tour of a property before you sign your lease, with good questions to ask about various safety aspects of the property. And that's all I got. With that, I yield.
Are there any questions for Senator Nelson? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Seeing none, thank you, Senator Nelson. Next up, I have Senator Albera.
Hello, everyone. I am Radiat Abera. I am one of the social and behavioral senators along with Senator Elsati. We're currently working on improving the internships, advising programs in our department. All students that are on our campus are working so hard to achieve their goals. and they would like to get involved in research projects, and they also want to know how it is and have an experience on how it is like to work off camp, to work like internships, and know how it is like in the real world before they graduate. But they do not know who to ask for regarding information about internship. So me and Senator Elsati met with our dean, Dean Loyaza, and we addressed the issue. And in our discussion, the dean explained how professors are sending announcements regarding research projects to students through D2L, and that professors are doing whatever they can to reach students to help them get involved and learn more about things that they're interested about. And the dean also suggested to gather the thoughts of the faculty and SBS department, and then we are planning on working on the future of how we can tackle the issue. Overall, with Senator Elsati, we are working on how we can outreach to our students and hear their voices and how we can make them informed about internship and research opportunities. With that, I yield.
Wonderful. Are there any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Seeing none, thank you, Senator. Finally, for Senator reports, I have Senator Party.
You know me by Senator Party. I'm the Senator for College of Education. I have been working to find out what issues my constituents have been facing, for which I'm of College of Education. With their help, I was able to reach out to people from different departments: science, elementary education, K-12, and as a teacher myself, I knew few issues that aviation students are facing. I talked to the dean about these issues, and she suggested me the department head, Mike Ferrero, and the very next day, I scheduled a meeting with him. Firstly, we discussed software before, which aviation students use free, which was later removed. So I asked him, is there any way that we can bring that back? Later, he said that the software company cut their ties with the university because the software that should be each week, which are can keep up with. The solution issue was that there are alternative websites that we can use, which is almost the same service for free. Like, know by students that the aviation management department students are
Senator, your audio is cut out. Could you try repeating that?
Hello?
That's better.
Hello?
Yep, we can hear you now.
So secondly, I came to know by the students that the aviation management department students are feeling underrepresented because the main focus of the department was given to the professional flight student. A solution to this that we concluded on is that there was a club made, there was a club made for the aviation student which was inactive. So we promoted, me and Mike Ferrero with his wife Kathy Ferrero, we promoted this aviation club to be able to get more participation in the department, and is now starting to increase, and they are starting to send emails to the aviation management students, as well as this shows that there is a steady progress for the management students too compared to the past. I really liked it how the department had understood my concern and worked on it promptly. Then post talking about the Department of Aviation, I discussed the issues of the School of Military Science with my dean, and so I told her that I spoke to a few students and also a recruiter of military science department, where I found out that these students need some recognition or appreciation from the university and some promotions too. For these, the dean suggested that I should speak to Christina, who is the social event coordinator of College of Education. The following week, we scheduled a meeting. Christina has worked with me on putting our military science program on the school's webpage and social media, and also the university's magazine for promotion and appreciation. We are still waiting on how we'll take it to the other level. We have also planned to take an interview with the recruiter and post it in the magazine for the spring and on the social media too, so that the students who are interested can go directly to her for some more information. The final discussion I had with the dean was to contacting the program coordinators of elementary education and K-12 program, since I have no contacts with those programs. The dean drafted an email in which we proposed the program coordinators if we can have Zoom meetings with 2 to 3 students from each department for the feedbacks of the program, which also contained my bio, so they could reach out to me if they want to. For the proposals that we sent to the program coordinators, I received an immediate reply for them, which was really nice of them. I have scheduled some meetings with these coordinators next week via Zoom, and I'll discuss with them how can we complete this project. Yes, with that I yield. Thank you.
Wonderful. Are there any questions for Senator Party? Any questions? Any questions? Seeing none, thank you, Senator. We are now going to move back to presentations as President Davenport has entered the Zoom. President Davenport, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker, and thanks for your patience. It's taken our trusty Vice President for Information Technology to get me on this call, so I'm happy to be here with you. You know, I've got a million things I could talk about, but I kind of zeroed in on a few things that I think might be most relevant for you today. And first of all, I want you to know that a project that we've been working on at the university for maybe 4 or 5 years is Armstrong Hall. And some of you who have been around know that one of our big goals is to replace Armstrong Hall. And we're well on our way to securing funding for a new Armstrong Hall last year when the pandemic hit. We do have a window of opportunity this year to make our case for funding for planning for Armstrong Hall, for the renovation, not the renovation, the construction of a brand new building. And so I wanted you to know we're working on that. We think we stand a pretty good chance, provided any bonding projects get approved. So even though in the middle of a pandemic with all these things going on that are distracting us, there's still some really good things too. So hang on, and I'll let you know how that all evolves. The other thing I want to just mention on COVID-19 updates, you get those updates from me all the time, and I just want to continue to thank everybody for their cooperation and help. Our strategy has been like 1 week at a time. Let's try to get everybody to the next week so that we'd eventually hit Thanksgiving break when students then would finish up their term away from campus, but not come back after Thanksgiving break, not until the fall. And so far, cross your fingers, it seems to be working. Again, one week at a time. We've had some minor issues with COVID-19, and you probably read about those in the newspaper or the student newspaper in regards to a flare-up with the theater students, and we put them in isolation for a couple of weeks, and then the director basically wants to quarantine him another week before we start up theater practice again. The other one dealt with our hockey players, and that's under control well at this point. So our Dean of Student Affairs, David Jones, who's with us today, tracks that on a daily basis. So he knows if we have any particular problems. So far we're actually in pretty good shape, so cross your fingers. Overall enrollment, we're the only state university that is up in enrollment this fall and has an increased retention rate as well. The only other institution within the system is a two-year college. And that two-year college is Rochester Community College. But we're the only university. So that says a lot for our team and for the fact that our students want to come back and finish their education. So I give a lot of people credit for making that happen. Another area that we'll be talking about deals with spring break. In regards to spring break, we haven't made any final decisions on. We're still discussing and debating it, and we'll want to certainly get student government's perspective and opinion on how do we manage spring break. We do have the option, after talking with Chancellor Devinder Malhotra, he has given us the option of managing spring semester in the way that best meets our needs as an institution. And so we look forward to having those conversations with you. The other area that seems to attract so much attention in the newspaper, at least, is athletics. And as you know, NCAA pretty much calls the shots when it comes to what leagues and what teams play and what you have to do in order to have a season. But it also happens to be our conferences. And our conference elected not to start up any sports this semester. The only one under consideration is hockey, both men and women's hockey. And we're still working very hard on seeing if we are going to be able to move forward with a hockey season. If we did, it would probably start up in late November. I might be wrong on that exact date. David Jones would know the answer there. But we're still making certain that we have all the steps in place that we need in order to do the testing for student athletes, in order to make certain that they're safe and that we've taken care of all the particular days. And so that we're still working on, and we'll certainly keep you posted. This might be a good time for me to just say that I know it's difficult for students, and I have shared that in different communications that I've sent out. We know that. It's difficult for our faculty and staff too. It's not normal. This is not a normal time. And I know that we're one of those universities that's exceptional, and that most all of you are following the rules. And when I drive around, I see, with the exception of students that might be outdoors, not wearing a mask, students are really abiding by that as social distance. So for the most part, that's going to help us move forward. One other topic deals with the graduation that we normally hold in the fall. And we have decided that we will not have a live graduation ceremony, or one traditional might be a better word. We're still going to have graduation for our undergraduates and graduate students that would ordinarily be graduating at this time. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice today. I've been talking too much. Anyway, so as far as that goes, details are out there, and we'll be sending more information as we go forward. So with that, I could spend more time talking about the budget and other challenges, but why don't I stop and turn it back to you to see if anybody has a specific question you'd like to ask me.
Wonderful. Are there any questions for President Davenport? Senator Flynn. And Senator Flynn, can you double check that that mic is on?
Thank you for taking the time to be with us here today, President Davenport. Just one quick question about the graduation thing. What is expected to happen with those who graduated in spring 2020?
Yeah, so those students, probably similar to what we did last year, would also be invited to, if they didn't participate, to be able to participate here. But some of you remember that we were hoping that we'd be able to do a live commencement. And well, we haven't actually crossed that bridge yet. What I envision is that when we have our next live, not Zoom, but live commencement, those students would be invited back, the same as the students for December, to participate in that, along with their friends and family. It's a good question. One that it's important, but we're still dealing with basics in terms of trying to address the students now.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Any other questions? Any other questions? Seeing none. Thank you, President Davenport.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry it took me so long to get on, but I'm going to have to give my Vice President for Information Technology a big raise. Do you think I should do that? Anybody that agrees, applaud. Oh, I'm sorry, Mark. All right. Thanks, everybody. All right. Take care.
Thank you. We're going to move back on our agenda to the vacancies section. I have no candidates for our residential life senator or allied health and nursing senator, so those elections will be moved to next week, along with our off-campus senator election is also next week. So as always, if you know anyone interested, please urge them to apply and get those applications in by next Tuesday at noon on Engage. So after vacancies, we're now going to move into new business. We have two motions on the floor today. The first one is the carry forward motion by President Trenny and seconded by Vice President Montari. President Trenny, would you like to speak on your motion?
Yes. So, and Mark, if I ever need help, I will yield to you. Just, okay. So this motion, I'm not going to show the motion right away. I'm going to go into some back information that will be very helpful when we talk about the motion. So basically every year, every year, as student government, we allocate money to certain departments or from a recommendation from our student allocations committee, which typically, again, looks into these line items. Here's what they're spending their money on, so on and so forth. And at the end of the fiscal year, which ends in July 31st, I believe, there is typically sometimes in some cases leftover money by fee-funded areas. For example, this past year, student government I'm trying to scroll down. Student government, we had a budget carry forward of $6,177. So basically, we didn't spend as much as what we planned to, again, because of COVID. And typically what SAC, the Student Allocations Committee, will do at the beginning of the year is they will go line by line and look, well, not necessarily line by line. If an area has a $10,000 or 10% carry forward, whichever is less, I believe, right? Yeah. They will ask SAC, or SAC will ask them to explain why they have such amount of money going into this year. So basically what a carry forward is, to explain a little bit what that is as well. Because we didn't spend $6,000 last year, that will be added onto our budget this year. So it's carrying forward. And again, so SAC will look at the 10%, which is in this column right here, the L column. It's 10% or $10,000, whichever is less. SAC will ask a reason why. And now this year, through consultation with the SAC lead or SAC advisor and the budget officer, we feel, Arnavi and I feel that SAC does not need to go through that process, just because most of the reasons why departments will say they're not spending their money is because of COVID. The other reason why we took a direct approach is we want to make the budget process in the spring as easy on students and us as possible. So basically, does that make sense for everybody? This column, what a carry forward is, what this percentage point is here. So that's basically these percentage points are how much of their base allocation they're carrying forward. And sorry, I'm going so off. I just don't know what people know and what they don't know. So then our motion, the one me and Arnavi are presenting, or Vice President Montari are presenting, we're proposing that each department will be able to keep $10,000 or 10% of their base budget allocation, whichever is less. So for example, student government, we are carrying forward $6,000, and our motion would be that we can carry that forward, right? And then, for example, another example is, let's see, repertory dance. So they have a $5,000 budget allocation, and they had a carry forward of $3,626. So then that's 10% of that amount, I believe, or the 5% comes down to $500. So our motion would be to allow them to bring $500 forward into this fiscal year. The reason why, so the other options we had is we could have just taken all the reserves back in, or all the carry forward back in reserves. We chose not to do that just because we felt some areas might see an increased cost potentially. I mean, obviously we don't know. There's a lot of unknowns right now, but we wanted to not hurt departments. We wanted to allow some carry forward to an extent. So basically our motion is everything in this column, this yellow bright column in the column N. And again, this sheet is in the Teams folder along with the motion. So then that goes to our carry forward resolution. So basically, you can read all the whereas clauses, but our motion is that each staff funded area with unspent funds from FY20, so last year, will be allowed to maintain a carry forward of $10,000 or 10% of their base FY20 allocation, whichever amount is less. And then R&R funds are not included, so repair and replacement funds are not included in that. And then, so basically all this money will go into reserves, and what you may ask what reserves is. Basically, it's just a fund of money that's occurred. By law, we're supposed to retain about 5%, I believe, but also just some funds automatically roll over into that reserve account. And then typically in the spring, if we have if our budget process allows it, we can use the reserves to buy down the fees so it necessarily doesn't go to a student vote, but also it doesn't incur a huge increase onto students. So yeah, that's our motion. Hopefully I explained it the best I could. I'm sorry, I'm not a finance person. But are there any questions on what this motion is?
I'm gonna ask Vice President Montari if she'd like to speak on her second first before we go into questions. Vice President Montari.
I would just like to say President Rennie did his best to explain this. We are just trying to build up the reserves and at the same time trying to maintain a balance between the departments. Since this year was different, with this resolution, I would just say it does save a lot of time for SAC, and it also would ensure that departments also get money and equality. I don't know the word. I don't know what to add a proper term for that would be. But we put a lot of thought into it and had proper guidance from the people whenever it was required. So please consider it as a good motion. Thanks.
Wonderful. So now we're going to go ahead and enter a questioning period. So this is your time to get all your clarification on the motion, make sure everything is clear and that you understand everything. So are there any questions on this motion? Any questions?
This is Brianna.
Senator Stiff.
Hi, thank you, President Trini and Vice President Montari for this motion. I just wanted to know, like some clarification. Are you guys also recommending that departments take into consideration their like carry forward whenever asking for their next year's budget, or like I don't know if I'm asking it in the right way, or like should they consider what they already carried forward before asking for more? Or should that just be like an additional something to help them with the next year?
Can I respond?
Oh, yeah, you can.
Okay, yeah. Yes. So one of our motives is if we allow departments to carry some money forward in the spring, it's harder to justify an increase, especially considering COVID, and we don't know what's not going to be spent now. So yeah, part of it is looking at spring. Like I said, the option we like considered mostly is just taking it all back, but we felt, it is carry forward. So if they don't spend that money, it goes back anyways. Or SAC can look at it next year and say, or we can even look at that through the budget process. But ultimately, I anticipate this again next year as well. But if a line item does have a big carry forward, SAC again, or the next student government will look at that again. But yeah, part of it is to look at for the spring and planning for the spring, because I know we are in a tight bind because typically for those new senators, our student activity fees, so basically every one of those funded areas that I showed on that screen, if we raise the fee in the spring by more than 2%, we have to go to a student vote, and that's again a majority vote by our student body. We're in a different time period, and we don't know if we can get turnout to meet that requirement. I know this last election was also kind of weird. So my and Vice President Montari's intent will always be to keep the fee increase low, and we think this will be a part of it to help do that, just that. So I yield.
Are there any other questions? Any other questions? Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, the questioning period has lapsed. And we're now going to go into discussion. Are there any points of discussion on this motion? Any points of discussion? Vice President Montari.
It's not towards the motion, but I would really suggest you guys to go through the agenda beforehand and think about it so that you can put your thoughts into it, since it's a crucial thing to do. And that's it. Thank you.
Are there any other points of discussion? Any other? President Trenny?
Yeah, I'm just reiterate again. I just want some discussion. I know it might seem like a yes, like it's already a yes, but if we could just get some kind of discussion on this, just because it is obviously looking at budgets. So the silence, let's just try to have at least one or two people say yes if they agree, to say why. Obviously, we want some discussion, so we're not just rubber stamping.
With that, are there any points of discussion? Senator Stiff.
I can go ahead and talk again. With President Trini's clarification, I think there's no reason not to vote yes on this, because again, he said the intention is to save students money, reduce fees, so I will be voting in favor of it.
Thank you. Senator Nelson.
One of the things so I'm on SAC, and I think it would be really beneficial to vote in favor of this, because one, it saves us time, and two, it's going to help with RSO officer transitions if they're not trying to explain okay, here's how you have to do the budget differently this year, and they're not trying to figure out the difference of how do we present this is why COVID made us not spend money because we all got sent home, without dragging everybody's day on and explaining the same thing by every RSO.
Thank you. Senator Bigt.
Yield to redundancy.
Are there any other points of discussion? John? If someone is willing to yield.
I will yield to him.
President Trenny yields to John.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. President Trenny, if you can share your screen, the spreadsheet again. And y'all, I'm speaking just a little bit historical perspective here and clarifying a little bit in terms of what this means and why this motion is actually relevant to part of the discussion. So in column K, that retained surplus is that amount that would be carried forward, okay? And so, or excuse me, I guess, I or K, either one right now. So it's actually I that I would be talking about. That surplus, oftentimes, budgets come a little bit under budget, okay? It's not strange to come under budget in a year because you'd rather do that than go over budget. That would always be recommended. We try to spend as closely as we can, and oftentimes it's been a foregone conclusion that you're going to get to retain your carry forward, okay? Unless it's significant or a gross amount, usually that amount gets carried forward and the amount gets approved. In some of those columns, you can see that that amount is really, really, really significant. And so to assume that groups would be able to carry forward as much as they didn't spend in fiscal year 20 would be a really big assumption, okay? That's a lot of money. And if that money can be reclaimed to reserves, it will help boost that reserve and allow you to potentially, you'll hear the phrase, buy down student fees, or if there should be need to be a major expense out of reserves that'll allow you to do that, okay? So what this motion is doing is it is not completely eliminating any carry forward for those groups, because sometimes they plan a little strategically to be able to do something with a small amount of money, which that 10% of 10,000 is considered a small amount. And so that's where that motion is coming in, is saying that 10% or $10,000, whichever is less, we're going to go ahead and allow you to carry forward if it's needed. Now, if the group goes, you know, we're going to underspend again this year, we don't need that carry forward, that resolution also invites them to return those funds and make that decision to go ahead and allow that money to go back to reserves. So just a little bit of explanation why this motion is actually relevant, and really those numbers, some of them are pretty darn big, okay? And so it's bringing, it's not cutting off the carry forward completely, it's bringing it to a reasonable amount. So just explaining what you're actually doing with this motion, I think, is kind of helpful. So that's just an explanation, not to express an opinion, but that's kind of what the motion is really doing. So.
Thank you. President Trenny, would you like to continue to speak?
Yes. Just to clarify too, this isn't refunds to students, this is refunding back to the reserves, so that in the hopes of when we do the budget process next year or in the spring, we won't have to dramatically increase the student fees. So no, it's not like the money we're saving and go back in reserves isn't going to students directly like a refund. It will long-term at the end of the semester help the budget process at the end. So I just want to give that a little clarification. I yield.
Okay, are there any other points of discussion on the motion? Any other points of discussion? Any other points of discussion? Seeing no other points of discussion, I close the discussion period and we're going to go ahead and move on to voting. This will just be a standard public vote. So if you're a voting member of Senate, use the yes or no if you're on Zoom. And then if you're in person, I'll have you raise your placard. So all in favor of this motion, please raise your placard. All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, and then just give me a second to go through participants. I'm still missing a few votes from senators, especially online. Senator Party, Senator Roddick. I'm going to give you a couple more, 10 more seconds to get your votes in. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, the voter roll has closed. On a vote of 23 to 0, this motion does pass. So next, we're going to move on to our next motion on the agenda. This motion is the Student Allocation Committee Senator waiver process established. This motion differs from most motions we've had on the floor because it is an amendment to our bylaws, so it requires a higher threshold of votes. It's a 2/3 majority. President Trenny sponsored this motion and seconded by Vice President Montari. President Trenny, would you like to speak on your motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. So this bylaw change, usually we wait till the end of semesters to do bylaw changes, but for our governing documents, we need to pass this today. We've been having, and it's no surprise to anyone, because of COVID-19 and because our student population is spread throughout Mankato, but also online and across the country, across states, across the world even. We're having a hard time filling our committees, and this even relates to SAC. So basically what this does is it puts into our bylaws, so this is our Student Allocations Committee section of the bylaws. So basically, I think it's 9 students, and only 3 are allowed to be senators, just because we don't like to overcrowd SAC with senators, just because that's not, A, it's not fair, B, the SAC also recommends our budget, so it's just kind of like transparency. We're not trying to flood the committee. But at the same time, because of the pandemic and because of a lack of student interest, and I do mean a lack of student interest, we're having a hard time filling the committee. In fact, I think there's only 4 out of 9 appointed, and now with 2 potential senators, that'd be 6 out of 9. Obviously, it's not 9 out of 9, but it needs at least more people to be on it than just 4 or 5 people. So obviously, this, if this passes today, obviously anyone here can also join SAC. Ideally, just let me know, and we can work with you to get on there. They have set a meeting time, but we again need more people on it. So basically what the change is, it's in red, if you're wondering. Basically, it adds into the end in section B. It says, if by the 4th week of the academic year, the committee is not full, then the 3 senator limit shall be waived with approval of the Senate. So I don't know why I chose the 4th week. I just chose 4 weeks because the idea is we also don't want a president or a Senate to right away waive it and just fill it with their buddies. So we said the 4th week, but also with approval of the Senate. Again, just so we can't, just appoint senators for fun. There needs to be a reason for it, and higher circumstances than normal years. Normal years, this committee is full by the 2nd week, not even. When I was a senator, I could not even get on the committee. It was full. Last year, it was full by the 1st meeting too, as well. So again, we're just having a lack of student interest, and we needed to function. There's a lot of fee stuff we're trying to do, and we just need a committee. So I yield for any questions.
Vice President Montari, you seconded the motion. Would you like to speak on it?
I just want to say this. We have had difficulties. The term President Trenny said lack of student interest. That is definitely true. We have been struggling to find people lately, and this motion was to ensure that the committee starts meeting as soon as possible. And since budget is an important topic, so that is what brought us to present this motion in the Senate, and I hope you like it.
Thank you. Before we move into our questioning period, just a logistical thing. If you're on Zoom and haven't cleared your vote yet, please go to participants and click again on whatever you voted the first time, and then it should clear it.
I just cleared it.
Oh, okay. Never mind. So we're now going to go ahead and enter our questioning period. Are there any questions on the motion? Any questions on the motion? Any questions? Seeing no questions, I'm going to close the discussion period, and we're now going to close the questioning, and we're now going to move into a discussion period. Are there any points of discussion on the motion? Senator Bigt.
I am going to vote in favor of this motion. SAC has a crucial job in this university, and we need to move forward with getting everything done for the fall. And so I'll definitely be voting in favor for this.
Thank you. Senator Walford.
Yeah, I also agree with that sentiment. I do want to say that I do have some reservations with it just due to the possibility there is some discrepancy for taking advantage of this rule. So I think as a temporary measurement, it's good, especially in this year of COVID. There is a lot of lack of interest from the student populace. So I'll be voting for it.
Senator Nelson.
I will also be voting in favor of this. Just looking at a lot of the people that are involved in student government are also involved elsewhere. So while there is that concern for transparency, like Andrew said, there's also representation of other RSOs by the people who may be serving that are also involved in Senate.
Thank you. Are there any other points of discussion? Any other points of discussion? Any other points of discussion? Okay, seeing none, discussion has then ended, and we're going to go ahead and move into voting. So again, if you're online, click yes or no. If you wish to abstain, raise your hand. If you're in person, we'll have you raise your placards. So all in favor of this motion, please raise your placard. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, and now let me check Zoom. Okay, perfect. So on a vote of 28 to 0 to 1, this motion does pass. Okay, we've moved past our two motions. We have no old business.
Madam Speaker, I have a motion, sorry.
Oh, yes, state that.
So per the new bylaws that passed, because they take effect right away, I would like to ask for Senate approval to waive the 3 senator limit. We passed the bylaw, now we need to declare that we can waive the limit, and then just so everyone knows, if we get approval to waive the 3 senator limit, I'm gonna appoint 2 people today just because I've already technically appointed them, but we need approval, like a yes vote that we can do this, and then we'll revert back and make 2 appointments. So that's my motion.
So what is your official
motion to waive the 3 senator limit on the student allocations committee?
Second.
Okay, there's been a second. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote on that motion then. So then, same yes, no, or raise hand to abstain. In person, we'll vote with placards. All in favor of passing this motion, please raise your placard. Any opposed? Any opposed? Any abstentions? In-person senators, I didn't get a full vote, so we're going to do it one more time. All in favor of passing this motion, please raise your placard high. Okay, any opposed? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, got it that time. Okay, seeing no dissent, I'm going to assume unanimous consent, and then that motion is approved. So that has now been waived.
Madam Speaker, can I, do I have to make a motion to revert back?
Yes.
I make a motion to revert back to approval of the consent agenda. Again, just a little FYI, this is to appoint 2 people.
Okay, is there a second? Vice President Montari seconds. All in favor of reverting back to the approval of the consent agenda, please raise your placards.
You can just do by dissent.
Okay, we're going to ask by dissent instead. Is there any dissent to this motion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Any dissent? Okay, assuming none, we assume unanimous consent, and we're going to move back here.
I make the following appointments to the Student Allocations Committee: Senator Osman and Senator I forgot last names. Senator Nelson as well. So that's Kat Nelson and Zahara Osman, Senator Osman and Senator Nelson.
Okay, so to clarify, our approval of the consent agenda would read as stands and then add to the Student Allocations Committee Senator Osman and Senator Nelson. Wonderful. Okay, is there any dissent to this? Any dissent? Any dissent? Seeing no dissent, I assume unanimous consent, and the approval of the consent agenda now includes those 2 senators. Are there any other motions on the floor? Any other motions? Okay, seeing none, we're going to continue on our agenda. We have no old business. We're now going to roll into announcements. Are there any announcements? John.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
John. Thank
never
you,
mind.
Madam
Vice President Montari, then we'll go to John.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, John. I just forgot to add this in my announcement. We have been meeting for the U-Elite conference, which is going to be for a week now. And I have been involved in the conversations and doing mostly PR stuff along with our coordinator, Senator Gabbard. And yeah, it is really good for your personality development and overall development. And I would really recommend you guys to register as soon as the link opens.
Thank you. John.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm going to speak on the U-Lead conference really well first. Thank you, Vice President Montari. The U-Lead Conference Committee has been working hard. Again, October 19, 20, 21, and 22 will be the dates, 7 and 8 p.m. each night. Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, there will be a live session presented each night in Morris Hall 103. Tuesday evening will be the keynote speaker. The contract is just out. Our keynote speaker will be a gentleman by the name of Alex Sheen, who founded a nonprofit organization called Because I Said I Would. This organization is doing great things around the world. Alex has been on the TED stage 10 plus times now, speaks for large organizations, most recently did a presentation with the CDC, and has done stuff all over the world and all over the US. So he's making a big difference. He's a young man from Ohio. He will be doing his keynote presentation called Because I Said I Would. It'll be done remotely, but it'll be broadcast here on this stage on that evening, and we will be encouraging in-person engagement with him. If you'd like to check out his organization, it's becauseisaidiwould.org. I've seen a lot of conference speakers in my professional career, and we took a group of students to a conference 3 years ago where Alex was the keynote. It was hands down the most impactful and personally moving keynote presentation I've ever seen at any conference I've been to. So we're thrilled to be able to have Alex joining us for what he normally costs to bring. We could not afford to have him here in person, so but he will be there on Tuesday evening, joining us. We will be the only school that evening hearing from him, so it'll be a personalized presentation. So please plan, if no other night, that Tuesday evening. But we have a great lineup of sessions that are being published right now. The dates are on Engage, and you can see those that have been finalized already. More information is being published daily, but please take a look at that. Registration will be open soon. On another note, we would like to thank student government for their sponsorship of the Masks On, Horns Up t-shirt. For those who have not yet gotten one, if you're here in person today, you can come down and follow me to the Student Activities Office. We'll hook you up right now. And then for those of you who are on student government and if you'd like to get one, their next distribution will be at the Free Farmers Market next week. So please stop by and get one at that time. Otherwise, next Wednesday, we'll be able to do it again as well. So come on down if you'd like to, and then looking forward to Chipotle tonight. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any other announcements? President Trenny.
Sorry, I hate to steal the thunder. Vice President Montari and John mentioned it as well. Chipotle, order it, go to it. You can use the DoorDash code as well. I believe it's on our poster. It's in it's in the Teams folder as well for the code. But if any administrator as well or staff member, please order Chipotle from the Mankato or the Chipotle close to campus. You can check our social medias out for the poster. If you go in too, for people that are gonna go in, show them the flyer and mention student government. Just so you need to make sure you say that so we get the money for it. And again, all the money donations we get will go to Campus Kitchen. And that's to fight food insecurities for students.
Are there any other announcements? Any other announcements? Any other announcements? Seeing none, we're going to move on to roll call. Senator Bigt.
Present.
Senator Gustafson.
Here.
Senator Gabbard.
Here.
Senator Vondra. Senator Alimo. Senator Mendonça.
Present.
Senator Parte.
Present.
Senator Salim.
Present.
Senator Nemo. Senator Hussain.
Present.
Senator Khan.
Present.
Senator Suna.
Present.
Senator Elsati.
Present.
Senator O'Bara.
Present.
Senator Osman.
Present.
Senator Stiff.
Present.
Senator Nelson. Senator Nelson.
Here.
Senator Weinzierl.
Here.
Senator Wickman.
Here.
Senator Ruiz.
Here.
Senator Wheeler.
Here.
Senator Raddat. Senator Raddat. Senator Bejarano.
Here.
Senator Swancutt. Senator Flynn. Senator Senator Berg.
Present.
Senator Wolfert.
Here.
President Trenny. Vice President Montari. And myself. Okay, then we are going to officially adjourn at 5:29 p.m. Guys, we had 2 presentations and 2 motions. We still finished a half hour early. I'm pretty happy with that. All right, see you all next week. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Andrew Trenny, and I'm the student body president.
Hello, my name is Arnavi Maltar and I'm student body vice president.
Student government this semester has been really, really busy speaking for students, advocating for students, and some of the things we've been working on are?
We have been working on food insecurity, and for that we have started to raise funds through Chipotle for community engagement office that serves as the campus kitchen for our school. So this is a little step towards the food insecurity. That was one of our platforms, and the date is October 7th. Time is 5 to 9 p.m. and I would invite you all to join us and make a change towards the campus kitchen and support your fellow students and the fellow departments.
Student government's also been passing two important initiatives that are part of the platform Vice President Montari and I ran on. The first was asking the university to waive course fees and the online differential for the next semester. The Student Senate successfully passed that last meeting or two weeks ago. And then just today at our last meeting of the week or of the month, we successfully passed a mental health resolution asking the university to provide more resources for our student body to help support them in our Zoom and COVID-19 challenges this year has already posed on our student body. We're really looking forward to the more work we can get doing for students. And we really, if you have any concerns or questions or have any ideas yourself, please reach out to us by either coming into our office, CSU 280, or giving us a call at 507-389-2611, or to send us an email at studentgovernment@mnsu.edu. We're always looking for student input, and your voice will be heard.
Go Mavs!
Go Mavs!